Welcome back to the channel, people. KG is back, and it is time for some transfer news, rumors, and everything else in between. Also going to speak about Daniel Farke's comments after the game against Blackburn and just delve into a couple of the quotes that just made no sense at all to me. And also we're going to speak about some good news on the injury front, because it looks like we're not going to be without Jayden Bogle, which is excellent. I'll get into that in the show. Please like the video if you haven't already, and if you're watching the replay, put your comments and thoughts below on anything discussed in the video or anything in regards to transfers, because we're not going to cover every position today. It's going to be mainly on the defense. And of course, subscribe to the channel. Trying to get 10 extra subscribers this year. Let's go, man. We can reach it, baby. And thank you to William Morrison for the super thanks on the last video. Much appreciated, William. And listen, for my wife and kids fans, Claire from My Wife and Kids is allowed out of her house, out of her room, I should say, yesterday. So there we go. And if you like My Wife and Kids, you'll get the joke. But first of all, we're going to get into yesterday's result as well with Sunderland Sheffield United, because obviously it's prevalent to our position in the league. But Farke did talk yesterday after the game against Blackburn, which I have to say, still 2 points dropped. But it's not to say that I feel like we deserved to win. I think it was a draw was a fair result. I do. If we had won the game on that penalty decision, then we would have absolutely rubbed 3 points there, and I've got no complaints against that. Sometimes you have to do that, but I think overall on the balance of play, it was a 1-1 result. I don't think we did enough over the 90 minutes to warrant a 3 points, and I think Blackburn's defensive structure earned them a point. So I think 1-1 was fair, but it doesn't mean that it wasn't 2 points dropped. So hope that that message is pretty clear what I've said there. But Farke said yesterday, and I need you to watch the clip of him talking about this as well, by the way, for full context. But Farke just said he was disappointed not to win, but recognized that it wasn't a fluid performance, but he was proud of the mentality shown against the resolute Blackburn Rovers. First of all, with that, not a fluid performance is putting it lightly. The game was dead, people. Like yesterday in the match reactions, we didn't even talk about the first half. There was no point. There was nothing happened in the first half, and that's inexcusable for me at Ellen Road, where we're in the form we're in. We should be going at Blackburn Rovers in a more fluid way rather than that sideways methodical build-up style that we've seen so many times. We should have been all over Blackburn, who themselves have a couple of injuries in their squad. We should have taken them in. By the way, people, Blackburn have taken 4 points from us this season. So let's hopefully that won't even matter by the end of the season. We can just forget about it. But that's 4 points Blackburn have taken from us this season. And that's where you lose ground on certain positions. That's where you go, see, now if we lose the next game against Sheffield United away or Burnley away, you go, damn, we should have got those points from Blackburn, shouldn't we? But hopefully it won't mean anything at all, and teams around us will continue to drop points. Going on to Farke now, though, and listen, he has his plus points, but one of the negatives for me with Daniel Farke is his lack of self-accountability, his lack of self-reflection. I don't think he's got an ounce of it in his body. And listen, shout out to everyone in the chat, man. I'm not ignoring you. I'm just trying to get this thing flowing so we can get to the transfer a bit. Shout out to you, Benny. But what the first thing here is Byram had been suffering a cold. And thankfully as well, Jayden Bogle, we thought it might be hamstring issues, which could be weeks, potentially months. It was just a dead leg. So that is excellent news for Jayden. Don't know if he's going to miss the whole game. I guess we'll find out in the pre-match presser, and we'll talk about that in the whole preview. But Byram suffering from a cold and still starting the game is an issue for me. It's again like when Junior Firpo was clearly not fit enough to play. He plays, and now Firpo's out for who knows, couple months. It shouldn't keep happening. So whether he's getting advice from the medical team, and Farke has said himself in the past that he does get advice from the medical team, but ultimately it's his decision. You've got other options there. You could have started Verba, and even if Verba's not ready to play 90 minutes, take him off and then put on someone else. And obviously it's not going to be Schmidt. Put your square pegs around hole, get Ampadu on and shuffle the pack a bit. He did not need to start the game, and it was quite clear with Sam Byram's performance. He was nowhere near fit yesterday, nowhere near it. And even without the cold, with Sam Byram playing 4 games in a row, not happening, not happening. And Bobby here talking about Schmidt. Yeah, I hope that we do get another question in the pre-match presser, where even if Pope has to wrap it up in the prettiest bow of all time, someone's got to ask him about this. Someone has to ask him. They've asked him once before. It needs to come up again, especially with us being in January, with us needing fullback reinforcements. We need this question to be asked about what more does Isaac Schmidt need to do in order to garner a start, get more minutes on the pitch, be an option, just be an option, because he's nothing at this football club right now but a bench warmer, and that does need to be asked in the press conference. So I hope someone does bring it up. Um, the other thing, obviously, was the big thing about Manor Solomon being subbed off. And Farke's explanation, and again, I implore you to go and watch it yourself, but you can tell that he was just winging it when he was explaining it, because he was doing all this, all that while he was talking. Instead of just saying, you know what, man, I had a planned sub, and that was the time what it was going to happen. Maybe in hindsight, I shouldn't have done it. I should have kept Manor on. He was our most dangerous player, and just say something like that. No, he had to go with this whole cock and bull story, and it made zero sense, because he was talking about putting a left footer on that side for balance. I don't know if he forgot that Byram had to come off earlier than he probably planned, and Verba was there since the second half started. But then to also say that he wanted a left foot on there to, what is it, divide the crosses. When Solomon went off, who drifted out to the left, people? It was Brendan Aronson. He was out on the left. So his explanation made absolutely zero sense. But unfortunately, with Daniel Farke, you do get that sometimes. Instead of him just saying, look, I made changes that I had already planned, or anything else like that, just saying, yeah, maybe I could get that right next time. He just has no self-accountability. And that's one thing I can't stand in people in general. Never mind just Daniel Farke. If you can't look within and you're always looking out to see, to get an excuse, that don't do it for me. That don't do it for me. Yeah, he did take off Somerville in the playoff final. Yeah, because if you were going to take off a player at that point, it would have been Dan James, because out of all of them, he was probably the least effective. I understand him not taking off Brendan Aronson. Completely get it, because with Brendan, you just don't know what you're going to get. And you saw with Brendan, even him staying on the pitch, he was the more likely to score out of everybody, but he just couldn't keep his shots on target, or keep him down, I should say. So you understand the Brendan Aronson thing. But Manor Solomon was literally our most dangerous player. And if I'm remembering right, because I've kind of forgot this game already, when he did set up that chance for Dan James that he just missed, that whiz past the post, I'm sure Solomon crossed it in with his left foot. So that just made it even worse with the explanation. And by the way, it wasn't like Blackburn were threatening. We was in control of that game. Like when Verba came on, he was either at left wing or he was near the 10 spot. Like he was hardly defending yesterday. So again, it didn't make any sense. But he just doesn't have that in him to say, I made a bad decision. I'll do better next time. He just doesn't have it in him, I'm afraid. But yeah, let's have a look. Dan Bobby here saying love Dan James, but those crosses get worse and worse sometimes. Was annoying to watch. I understand what you're saying, Bobby, but listen, a couple of times there were some good ones that he put in, but just no one was there to finish it off. But yeah, he does overhit them. But you know what you're getting with DJ? But he's an effective player. But yesterday wasn't his best outing, and he's not always going to hit a 7 or 8 out of 10. But that's when you as a manager go, actually, Manor Solomon is the only one cooking here. Let me take off DJ so we can go again against Hull. Manor Solomon looks the most likely threat. Let's keep him on. And the worst thing is, take him off Manor Solomon and bringing on Patrick Bamford. You may as well bring on a traffic cone at this point. And that's another thing that just didn't make sense. If you want to tweak it, if you need to make those pre-planned subs that you've got in your head, move it around. But you still talk about Bamford as well in the post-match presser, where I need to get on Joseph, I need to get on this and that. Ramazani was on the bench, people. Ramazani's on the bench, possibly to make a good cameo. Yeah, he hasn't shown it lately, but he's there. He's another option that is way more dangerous than Patrick Bamford in big old 2025. Just his explanation yesterday just didn't make sense. And listen, Farke comes out with some stuff that I agree with sometimes, and I do highlight that. But yesterday's explanation after the game completely bamboozled me. Absolutely, man. Hyru here saying the lack of accountability is one of the biggest red flags I have against Farke. I don't like people who make excuses. Yeah. Listen, in life, you're always going to have something that goes wrong. There's I have it all the time for myself. I know that there's things that I get wrong, but there's things that I get right. You control the controllables. and that's what I always say. But I just don't feel he does that. And with the Byram thing, where he probably came off earlier than he thought, Bogle then having to come off injured, you can see it threw him all off kilt because there was a pre-planned sub of Rothwell off and Nonto on because they already read that on the board and they put it up early when Bogle had to come off. Then they had to say, nah, no, that's not yet. Nonto then has to put his bib back on, sit back down. What do we get? What 20 minutes later? Rothwell off, Nonto on. It's just that's not going with the flow of the game. That's all I'm saying here. But listen, oh, this was another thing that I know a couple of people said this in the comments, but I'll just say this, people. Danny here saying, afternoon, KG, and afternoon to you, Danny. I'm glad Bamford passed the ball to Pascal for the penalty. Guys, I don't know if you guys have realized, but that's always going to happen. Bamford doesn't take penalties at the football club anymore. Pascal is our penalty taker. So I don't know if it's something that people haven't caught on yet, but they've been doing this for a while, and teams do it at all other clubs where someone will have the ball, the defenders, the opposition are talking in their ears, and then when the referee tells everyone to get back, they give the ball to the actual real penalty taker. So there was never any danger yesterday, people, of Bamford taking the penalty. That's just from my point of view, I guess. But he's done this before. He's not taking any more penalties for this football club. I would find it very difficult to believe he will do so again, especially after last season. Was it against Stoke where we lost the game and he missed the pen? Can't remember. But yeah, he's not taking any penalties, people. But yeah, let's have a look here. Farke keeps showing his limitations. Yeah, it is the tactical side of the game is not his strong suit. It isn't. As long as he keeps the squad strong and we've got the selections that we have, we will accumulate more points than that. I've got no worries about that. But when it comes to in-game situations where he has to adjust on the fly without his pre-planned subs in his head, don't trust him at all, man. But listen, let's move on from that. I don't think there's anything else. Listen, John Eustace yet again take another point off Leeds. We move on to Hull City. But listen, it wasn't so bad yesterday in totality because Sheffield United lost another game. Michael here saying, I thought Peru was our main penalty taker. Well, Michael, he is, but he wasn't on the pitch at the time. He did get subbed off by then. And also, if you remember before, he probably is our penalty taker. But if you can recall a game last season, and just quickly, Peru would come on a sub for maybe 5 minutes, and I'm probably guessing there 5 minutes, but he didn't get to take the pen, if you remember. And then after the game, even though in a previous press conference, Farke said Peru is our main penalty taker, they give it to somebody else. And I can't remember whether it was Somerville or Pascal, but Peru didn't get to take it. And you could see he was like annoyed, like, why? I'm the penalty taker. So that's why I'm saying maybe Strauch is the main penalty taker now. But yeah, if Peru's on the pitch, then maybe he does take him. But yeah, just trying to recall that scenario from last season. Crazy stuff. But listen, Sheffield United have got a bunch of injuries. And what I've said before about Sheffield United is if they can keep their squad fit, they will make the top two. But you can see they're struggling a little now. I watched the game yesterday. It was a bananas game yesterday, especially in the first half. It was like they were just gifting each other stuff, like pass backs, own goals, space. Like it was an insane game. And Sunderland come out 2-1 winners, which means Sheffield United are in a bit of a sticky patch. And along with Burnley drawing against Stoke at home, it wasn't a bad game week for us overall. Obviously, wish it could be better, but we're still 3 points clear at the top. Now, Sheffield United have got to make some additions this month. We're going to speak about ours in a bit, but they've lost Harry Suter, who was a massive part of that defensive backline. Huge. As I say, I watch a lot of Sheffield United games, and when they're defending the set piece, you just put him in there and he's just heading them out. It's just easy cash money. 6'6", just big brute. I think he only had pretty much one bad game where I think 2 of the goals were his fault. But yeah, they've lost him for the season. He's out with an Achilles injury for the season, so they're going to have to recruit a centre back. I think they're light at right back as well. Raksaki's currently out, so they're struggling a little, and that's going to happen because they don't have the depth involved. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with them, see what happens with Burnley. But in terms of us, I think we need to recruit on the defensive side, and the 2 rumors that I've picked off today are on the defensive side too. Chris here is saying, how much do you think Job will go for? Oh, probably it was Somerville. Okay, yeah, just to wrap up the ball on that one, it was Somerville who took the penalty. Thank you for that, Danny. How much do you think Job will go for? Honestly, probably around, if Sunderland don't go up, probably 20 million to 25 with add-ons, just purely on the basis of he's a good player. He's good. I wouldn't want him at Leeds at this point. I think we need more experienced players in there. There is room for untapped potential or potential players, but not for that kind of price. But I think Sunderland will look for that. He's got the Bellingham name, obviously, and everything else like that. And every time he scores or assists, his brother, retweets it. And we know hype means a lot in today's game. Agents can sell you on hype, and so can clubs. So yeah, I do see it being like a 20 million deal, maybe 25. So yeah, I think that's probably how much he'll go for. But look, we're in a good space when it comes to the league. We got an away game against Hull City next. Got to win that one. Got to get back on the winning horse. Cannot afford to drop points in that game. Hull City are not a good team at this point. But again, we'll talk in the preview. Yeah, Bellingham just adds another 7 million to the price tag. Yeah, big time. Carl saying here would like for us to bid for Harmer again, 14.1 million. Keep Wilder happy. Yeah, the old Arsenal Luis Suarez thing. Yeah, Harmer yesterday, man. I mean, it's just his intelligence in the way he plays. I mean, he looked like he was going to go for a cross at one point, and he just hammered that thing near post. And the keeper makes a good save. Good save. By the way, people, some of you love that Derby County goalkeeper, that Zetstrom. You see him get chipped from inside his own half yesterday by Windass. Guys, don't get fooled by a couple of saves against Leeds United, man. These keepers are meaty in this league. Let me tell you. But listen, we are being linked, and this is an interesting one, people. To Christopher Wooh. Christopher Wooh. Wolves join Leeds United in chase for Glenn Kamara's teammate with a bargain 5.8 fee required, 5.8 million fee required. And Christopher Wooh is one of those people that I was going to talk about the summer that we got relegated. He was on the same list that I had as Milas Kerkez, who is now, being touted for like a 40, 50 million pound move from Bournemouth elsewhere. He's done very, very well at Premier League level. Christopher Wooh was in that bracket for me, a young centre back with bags of potential, very good in the air, very intelligent, strong on the ball, and also he fits Danny Farke's kind of profile as well as being someone that likes to play out of the back, short passes, can be a threat from set pieces as well. He's got a very, very good package when it comes to a central defender, and I think his game will translate very, very well to the Premier League. Now, if we're talking Wolves and Leeds and both teams bid, obviously I think Wolves will get him just purely on the basis that, and this is a crazy thing. First of all, Premier League football, there you go. That's the big tick. Premier League, off you go, and I understand it. But also for the fact, and it kind of goes with the Max Verber thing here. If he comes to Leeds United in the Championship, I think he will get game time, but he's not gonna take out Struijk or Rodon. Whereas, he goes to Wolves, probably got more chance of getting a first team game there, which is crazy to say. Listen, I'm not saying, Struijk and Rodon are the Nestor and Cannavaro of the Championship, but their play doesn't lie, and we've suppressed the most shots in the league, and I don't see any point in breaking that up. But what I can say with Christopher Wooh is that he does have the ability to be a better Premier League defender than, say, a Joe Rodon, just purely on the intelligence level, the reading of the game. So that's where you get a little bit of a. I hope people can understand what I'm saying there. There's a difference in the league, just technique wise, but I think it would do him good to be here in the Championship. Get used to you strikers like your Jerry Yates and all these guys, all these meat and potato players, just to get the physicality of England and then get you prepared for the Premier League, where he'll be in his age 24 and age 24 years. So I can see it happening. The only thing I will say is that I don't see a 5.8 million transfer happening for this month. I think that's a lot of resource to go in for a position where we're already solidified in our first 11. I think that if it was going to be 5.8, let's just say Ren, who are looking to raise funds, which is why he's up for sale, and he has like dropped down the pecking order a bit on their team. But if they were willing to do a loan with an obligation to buy, and we can get him for 5.8 in the summer, that would be an absolute bargain. And that would be a pure bargain. And that's where I go with saying not every transfer has to cost 20, 30 million. It just doesn't. You look at Milinkovic for Forest this summer, 12 million pounds for Milinkovic, and look how solid that man is for Forest. absolute beast back there for 12 million. It's all about recruiting right. So you get Milinkovic for 12, or you can get Robin Cock for 13.5. All depends on how you're scouting, doesn't it? But yeah, Christopher Wooh for me, if you could do it with a loan to obligation to buy, absolutely do it. Would love him to be an option come the Premier League, especially. But if Wolves are in for him and they do make a bid, yeah, you can forget about that one, people. Chris here is saying, I'm still feeling Omobamidele. I think he would be class for us. Well, we'll move on from Christopher Wooh. Listen, if you guys have seen Christopher Wooh play and you've got any thoughts, let me know. As I've said, I've seen him play many times for Rennes, saw him before for Lens. I just like the cut of his jib as well. Experience now, Cameroon international, got a lot of experience in that way. And 5.8 million, you're not losing anything. And obviously, there's the whole Woo thing with the Ric Flair things. I think it would be fun. Woo! But listen, Chris here talking about Omobamidele. He's also been linked as well. Again, I didn't talk about him previously because it was an old link. What we've been being linked with, but the Telegraph have like reignited that link in terms of him going out on loan from Forest. And yeah, Omobamidele would be a good option to have on loan. The only thing with this though is, and I look at it from the player's point of view more than anything, and of course he knows Daniel Farke. Daniel Farke broke him in and everything else like that. That is great. But if you're coming on loan where you're already not being played, you're not getting past Murillo or Milinkovic, it's not happening. Why are you then going to drop down a division and sit on the bench at a championship club? Because again, I don't see how even Omobamidele breaks up the partnership of Strike and Rodon. I don't see it. So I just look at it from his point of view. I feel like he'll have a few more options out there in terms of a loan where he will get first team football. And that's what I would say as well. If you do see Omobamidele and he ends up at, I don't know, Bristol City or somewhere like that in the championship, I don't think it's a lack of ambition. I think it's just more of a place where he can play because he's hardly played over the last 2 years, people. And I do like him, but he does not break the centre back pairing of Strike and Rodon. Now, on our side, if we can get him in and he is our lone centre back on the bench, awesome. Absolutely do it. Low risk. I don't think there'll be any risk in there. I don't even think Forest will make it an obligation to buy. I'm not sure what they want there. But if you can make it a straight up loan till the end of the season, you can get in a play like that. And if Rodon's having one of those issues where he might need to sit out for a game and you can bring him in, excellent. Excellent. Do so. But I think it's going to be interesting. I think there'll be a few clubs in for Omobamidele. I'm not going to lie, especially if Forest are just going to let him go out on loan, and maybe it's just the wages that need to be covered. That's a good loan for a lot of teams to have who could do with him. I could even see maybe Sheffield United going in for him in light of Harry Souttar's injury. I think that he would fit in perfectly at Sheffield United. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. Now we're talking transfers there of two centre backs. I need to see some fullback talk. Not gonna lie, I want to see some movement with Junior Firpo in terms of him possibly signing a pre-contract elsewhere. I think that needs to happen. But I also want to see us linked with a fullback as well. That's a little bit more durable. All our fullbacks have got question marks over them, except for Jayden Bogle. He's our most fit. But yeah, I think we need help at fullback as well, people. I do. I want to see some noise about what our forwards leaving in terms of Gilhart Bamford. Seeing nothing. Sorry, pardon me. See nothing in regards of that of them two having any potential clubs. All I keep seeing is Bamford and Wrexham, who the latest report I saw is that Wrexham are not in for Bamford at all. His wages are too much of an obstacle, which is understandable. But we need to see some movement on that front in order for us to get a new forward in, because it's not happening without two of them leaving, or even one of them, I should say. So let's hope we get some more movement. Look, it's only the 2nd of January, but I don't know about you people. What I will say is I don't envision a lot happening. I don't see a lot happening, not just at Leeds United, but around the place. I don't see a lot happening. I think it's going to be much like last January, where there was absolutely nothing going on. I mean, it was probably the driest January in terms of transfers in recent history. And it's all to do with PSR, it's all to do with financial reasons, clubs not wanting to overspend and everything else like that. And I think it's going to be more of the same. I think it's just going to be little tweaks here and there and nothing major, especially in our case at Leeds United. Um, let's have a look here. Michael here saying signings. If we don't get our signings now, we get hit with the Premier League tax when we go up. Tricky one. Yeah, in terms of a Chris Wooh, yeah, if you can get him for 5.8, I mean that just goes without saying. That's a low risk, high reward kind of signing. You know what I mean? And it's one of those where people say, but he hasn't played in the Prem. He's not Prem proven. That's one term, as you guys know, I hate to hear Prem proven. I was literally watching one of my boys talk about Arsenal and then wanting to sign a player because he's Prem proven. The thing is, though, they'd be signing him from a club who got him from a club that wasn't in the Prem. So you can only get proven once you actually play and you've got the tools to play in the league. You're not going to know just because it worked out at one club that it's going to work for yours either. Transfers, there's going to be hits, there's going to be misses, and it's good for various reasons as well, by the way. Fernando Torres, beast at Liverpool, not so much at Chelsea. It happens, but you've just got to take the chance, especially when they're a high talent, in the football world. Gavin here saying Ryan Kent. I don't know, man. I think that might be dead in the water, man. I'm not sure, man. Ryan Kent. Oh my lord. Carl here saying left back is the one position where we can pretty much guarantee a start for a lone player. Yeah, and the reason why, I mean, I said about Firpo, and I just go by Daniel Farke's comments when he came back after his ban for what was it, that for violent conduct, and he was rusty. He looked bad, didn't he? He was not looking good. And then obviously he's gone out injured again, which I don't particularly put on Firpo. That should have been for the manager to keep him out because he was not 100% fit, which he said in the pre-match press conference. But yeah, the left back is a spot where I think is the one starter where if you get a left back in on a permanent who is of quality, then yeah, I think they take the spot. I do. For me, it would be Max Verber. I would love to see him get an extended run there. But we know with Max that his fitness is questionable, and also we don't know if he's going to be here past January because I think I heard that one of the Salzburg Red Bull clubs, I should say, are looking at what is it, a glamorous loan. I can't even remember the word I saw being used, but there could be a way of Max Verber leaving this month. But again, we're going to have to wait and see. But Max Verber for me would be more than good enough at left wing back in this division because he is going to be like the Gvardiol of this league, where he's a left back, but he's going to drift inside and he's going to be a goal threat at the same time. So yeah, if our rivals get stronger, we can't stand still. Well, Marcus, what I would say to that though is that our squad is very strong. So if when they strengthen, they're trying to catch up to us. So let's just say Sheffield United do get Omobamidele. Good, great for them. But what they've done is that they've plugged a hole that has been left by Harry Suter. Whereas we've already got Pascal, we've already got Joe Rodon, we've still got Max Verber on the books. They're trying to catch up to us at this point. All we need to do is make those little tweaks to our squad that just fill out the gaps and get in a little bit more quality and let go of some of the dead wood like Bamford, like Gelhardt. Get some of those gone so we can bring in even more quality to just put our squad even further away from everyone else. Because if we're going squad for squad right now, we are the best. There's no doubt about it. We are the best in nearly every position. Obviously, question marks over goalkeeper, and some people would say striker too, even though Peru is on 9 goals. But we are the best squad overall. So Burnley and Sheffield United are trying to catch up to us for me. Michael here saying if Schmidt doesn't feature against Harrogate, then there is something seriously not right behind the scenes. It would imply that Schmidt is a 49er signing rather than Farke. Yeah, it would imply that maybe the old recruitment team that have since gone probably had more to do with that than Daniel Farke. Because quite frankly, if it was Farke, he would have known what he's getting. And we all thought we was getting a left back, a backup one who can play multiple positions. We're not seeing him. So it does make you think that was more of a 49ers ploy. But it's a waste of money because we could have saved that 3.5 million or whatever it is that it cost and invested it in a real fullback. That's Harrison Burrows. I know it's going to rise up to 7 million once Sheffield United get promoted, but that's on promotion. You can afford that. You should have gone for Harrison Burrows. And Harrison Burrows, by the way, his deliveries are absolutely sick deliveries, man. So Sheffield United better hope they go up, otherwise someone else is going to poach him off them. It's all mad. But yeah, see what I mean though? That 3.5, yeah, Peterborough, you want 7 million when we go up? Fine, take it. But he would have been much better. And I did say that in the summer as well. I said we should have been all in on that Harrison Burrows sweepstake. We should have been, but we didn't. We got Schmidt. Uh And Carl here saying we should have a bit of money to invest this month. I bought a Red Bull yesterday to help. That's tremendous, Carl. But yeah, in terms of our PSR, we're not in any trouble, people, but you still have to go within the championship budget rules and everything else like that. So you can't overspend, which is why I always try and make clear that I know people want a forward, but until Bamford leaves, we can't get in another forward. It just doesn't make sense money-wise or squad-wise, because then you've got even more unhappy players in the team, which does nothing for the morale. So you have to be careful with stuff like that. Yeah. Harrison Burrows is another one we got right and Leeds got wrong. Yeah. And again, Crystal, I don't know if it was the case. Maybe Leeds did go in for him. I know Darren McAntony was being a bit naughty saying that Leeds had inquired, but it could have been one of those things where Leeds have said, look, Harrison, you're coming in, but Junior Firpo's our number one, which is absolutely insane if they ever said that. Because for me, and I said it at the time, this isn't hindsight talking, please go back. I said Harrison Burrows absolutely comes in and becomes our number one left back, and it's not even close. And proof has been in the pudding for Sheffield United this season. He's been brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Ronnie Edwards going on loan to QPR. Could be Gavin. I know he hasn't had much of a look in at Southampton, and so it doesn't surprise me if he's going to get a championship loan. Would not surprise me if we see that happen. And maybe again, Sheffield United maybe could go in for that. Who knows? Who knows? Yeah. Oh, he is at QPR. Oh, he has actually joined. Fair play, fair play. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me, man. Again, that's what I said about Southampton's recruitment and Ipswich's too. You can recruit youngsters, talented youngsters. You can recruit some players that are maybe the top of the championship, but you've got to surround them with actual quality in the team. You can't just join them all together. It won't work. And it's been shown this season as well. But listen, people, I tried to keep the show under 30 minutes, but you know what? I don't mind, man. You guys have been brilliant in the chat today. So I'm going to leave it there for this one. Guys, transfer news is very fluid. And if the news is juicy enough, I will, either come back live or upload a video. So please put on the notification bell so you know when I'm going live or uploading. Like the video before you go. Drop your thoughts on anything discussed in the video. And I'll see you in the next one, people. Peace out.